Have you ever wondered what would happen if all the ideas we have about beauty were taken to the extreme? Imagine a place where girls not only compete to be beautiful, but where this competition is institutionalized, turning school into a battlefield. In Pretty Girls All Go to War in School, the concept of popularity goes beyond a simple click on Instagram. It decides your future. But what happens when a new girl dares to challenge these rules and redefines what it means to be beautiful? Get ready for a twist that will make you question everything you think you know about beauty and power. School life can seem like a real battlefield for many, especially when what's at stake is something as superficial as physical beauty. In a world where judgments are formed in a matter of seconds, it is impressive to see how a school can institutionalize this competition on such an absurd scale. The video begins by showing the ranking of the 10 most beautiful girls, a strict hierarchy based exclusively on appearance. And as if that weren't enough, being beautiful is not just a question of self-esteem, but a passport to privileges inaccessible to the rest. Just imagine living in an environment where your appearance decides how far you can go. And it all starts with this deep-rooted idea that the outside defines your value. This competition is a clear reflection of the social pressure for perfection, which we see all the time on social media. What was once restricted to magazine covers has now taken over Instagram, TikTok, and even daily conversations between friends. And of course, at school, where teenagers are at their most vulnerable, this can be devastating. Beauty has become a currency of exchange, where being pretty means having influence, friends, and power. This notion creates a distorted reality in which internal qualities, such as intelligence or kindness, become ignored. But here's an example. Have you ever stopped to think what it would be like if all your achievements and worth were defined by your appearance? It's an unsettling thought. And so, the competition for the top of the list of the most beautiful begins to take shape. Every girl wants to climb that ranking, whatever the cost. There is an invisible pressure to always look your best, which creates a feeling of constant judgment. This is very reminiscent of that story where, when we enter a room full of people, we immediately ask ourselves, am I the most beautiful person here? This type of constant questioning erodes self-esteem and puts everyone in a competition that no one asked to participate in. School, as presented in the video, appears to be an expanded version of what many experience on a daily basis. Being pretty is the only thing that matters. And the most shocking thing is that this beauty is defined by completely external standards without any consideration for the characteristics that should really count: empathy, respect, and ethics. This scenario is a mirror of the modern world, where what appears on the surface is often prioritized to the detriment of what is really worth it. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone judged solely on their appearance? This affects not only those who are judged, but also those who judge, creating a vicious cycle of superficiality. The looping continues, and that's when things start to get even more intense. At the school shown in the video, being among the 10 most beautiful girls is like being part of a secret elite. Girls who achieve this high status have access to a series of exclusive privileges that seem straight out of a modern fairy tale. They enjoy meals prepared by a private chef, custom-made clothes made by a tailor, and even private bathrooms. These benefits not only reinforce the beauty hierarchy at school, but they also further isolate these girls from the rest of the students, creating a clear division between who deserves such perks and who does not. It's almost as if being beautiful is a magical key to a world of opulence. This idea of privileges based on physical appearance raises a series of questions about meritocracy. While in the real world most of us believe that effort and talent should be the main doors to success, here, everything revolves around appearance. Think about the times you saw someone treated special simply for being beautiful. This happens all the time, right? But what does this teach? That looks outweigh effort? Or that superficial qualities are worth more than internal ones? It's a disturbing reflection, but quite real. For example, if this system were applied to the professional world, how many competent people would be left aside because they do not fit an aesthetic standard? Now, let's delve a little deeper into this issue of exclusivity. Girls in the top 10 not only receive privileges, but are also treated with reverence by the other students. This type of treatment creates a culture of adulation around them, as if they were celebrities within the school walls. And as we know, This type of excessive attention can generate a sense of superiority that distances these girls even further from reality. This happens in real life too. How often do we see beautiful people being idolized, given more opportunities just because of their looks? It's as if the world conspires in their favor, but at what cost? These privileges are not just physical, they are symbolic. Having access to exclusive areas of the school, such as the top 10 house, with its luxurious advantages, reinforces the idea that these girls belong to a higher class. This, naturally, creates an atmosphere of even fiercer competition among the other students, who aspire not only to beauty, but to the status and benefits that come with it. And mind you, this is not exclusive to a fictional school environment. In the real world, we see this all the time. People doing everything they can to climb the social ladder, often sacrificing who they really are to reach a prominent place. But how do these girls deal with this pressure? The answer is simple. They always need to be perfect. After all, losing status means losing everything they have achieved. And this is exactly where the cycle closes, leading us to an even deeper reflection on how much we are all influenced by these same patterns of exclusivity. The arrival of a new girl at school, especially in an environment as competitive as the one shown in the video, is always a cause for buzz. And when this new student, named Moon, begins to rise from the beauty ranks, the tension rises. Imagine the scenario. A girl no one knows suddenly starts to gain attention and quickly climb the beauty rankings, which, of course, bothers the other girls, especially Lucy, who has maintained her high position for years. This dynamic perfectly reflects the fear many people feel when a new competitor enters the scene and threatens their established place. In life, this happens all the time. Think about a work environment, for example. Have you ever seen someone new arrive and start to impress everyone, to the point of challenging the position of someone who had been there longer? It's a complicated situation, because it involves not only the fear of losing status, but also envy and insecurity. In Moon's case, she is quickly perceived as a threat, not only because of her appearance, but also because of her calm and, in some ways, mysterious personality. It's almost as if her mere presence upsets the balance the other girls have worked so hard to maintain. As Moon climbs the ranks, the atmosphere at the school begins to change. Suddenly, what was stable starts to seem unstable. Lucy, who has always been considered one of the most beautiful and popular, begins to see her status threatened. And this threat is not just a matter of ego, but also of losing the privileges that come with being at the top. It makes us reflect on how the success of others often makes us question our own worth. In Lucy's case, her confidence begins to waver, and she feels like she needs to do something to keep her place. And here's an important detail. Moon isn't purposely trying to steal anyone's spot. She just walks into the school and does what everyone else does. But her impact is so great that the other girls can't help but feel threatened. This leads us to think about how the pressure of being on top can make us see others as enemies, even when they have no intention of competing with us. This is a valuable lesson for life. Sometimes someone else's success doesn't diminish our own. In fact, it can inspire us to be better. And so, Moon's arrival causes a twist that goes beyond simple beauty. Her presence forces the other girls to reevaluate their position and question how far they are willing to go to maintain their status. Which brings us to the next point. When power is threatened, what do you do to preserve it? Shelby, the central and current shining star character, perfectly exemplifies how power can be manipulated to maintain the status quo. She's not just a pretty girl. She is a strategist and understands that, to stay at the top, you need to control the rules of the game. In the video, Shelby presents herself as the girl who created the entire system that values physical beauty at school, a system that, of course, favors her. And why not? If you have the power to set the rules, why not do it in a way that ensures you stay on top? This reflects an uncomfortable truth about power. Those in control often do whatever it takes to stay in control. This power structure is not new, nor is it exclusive to school dynamics. In business, politics, and even social circles, we see people manipulating situations to ensure they never lose their place of prominence. It's like that boss who always finds a way to stand out, or that politician who changes the laws to stay in power. Shelby is no different. She built her empire on rules that favor her, And the fact that she manipulates the system to stay on top is a tactic that many recognize. But what does this teach us? That, often, the people in power are the same ones who create the conditions so that no one else can threaten them. Power, however, is not something static, and what Shelby may not realize is that, by manipulating the system so much, she creates enemies around her. When someone like Moon enters the scene, questioning these rules and, even worse, gaining popularity, Shelby's house of cards begins to rock. This is something that often happens in manipulative structures. Control may seem absolute, but there is always someone who comes to challenge that dominance. And the most interesting thing is that when this happens, the manipulation often becomes more visible. Shelby tries to discredit Moon, to push her away, but the more she fights, the more she reveals her fear of losing the throne. Another interesting point is how Shelby uses her influence to keep the other girls under control. She ensures that no one rises in the rankings unless she allows it, and this creates an atmosphere of fear and subservience. It's like that boss who only promotes those who don't challenge him, or that leader who silences any form of dissent. Shelby has learned to play this game, but what she may not have anticipated is that eventually even the best-built systems can collapse if someone dares to challenge the rules. And it is precisely this moment of tension that opens space for change. When power is threatened, the structure begins to show its cracks, and it is at this point that new possibilities begin to emerge. In the final part of the video, we see Moon, the new girl, take a revolutionary step. She challenges the beauty standards established by the school by changing the algorithm that defines who is at the top of the rankings. Until this point, beauty was judged exclusively by physical appearance, but Moon brings a new perspective, proposing that true beauty comes from within. She redefines the concept of beauty to include kindness, empathy, and authenticity. This change causes a real earthquake in the school system, because it forces everyone to reevaluate what really matters. It is a powerful reminder that, no matter how much society insists on valuing the superficial, internal qualities never lose their value. This transformation is an interesting parallel to what we see in the real world, where movements to challenge conventional beauty standards have been gaining momentum. Think about campaigns that promote body acceptance, like the body positive movement, or fashion brands that have started using models of different sizes, colors, and ages. These changes do not happen overnight, but they are important steps to question a narrative that has been imposed for a long time. Moon, by making this change to the algorithm, does exactly that. She challenges a norm that seemed immutable, and does so in a way that changes the power dynamics at the school. In addition to being a personal victory for Moon, this algorithm change has a profound impact on the other girls. Girls like Meredith, who have always been left aside because they don't fit into conventional beauty standards, now have the chance to occupy a prominent place. This shows how inclusion can transform not just one person, but an entire system. When beauty starts to be seen as something that goes beyond physical appearance, new possibilities open up for everyone. And that's exactly what happens. The system that previously only privileged external appearance begins to value character, which, in turn, creates a new form of competition, one based on real values. The other girls' reactions are a mix of surprise and admiration. Suddenly, those who never had the chance to shine see their inner qualities being recognized and rewarded. This change is not just symbolic. It represents a key shift in the way people see themselves and how they are seen by others. This makes us wonder, what if the real world started to value internal qualities more than external ones? What if success was measured not by the number of likes on a photo, but by the kindness and compassion someone shows in their everyday lives? And so, with this paradigm shift, Moon establishes a new path to be followed. It does not destroy the system. She transforms him, showing that, in the end, true beauty is that which comes from the heart. And when the heart leads, the results are always much more lasting. Now that you've seen how beauty can be used as a weapon and how even the strictest rules can be defied, what are you going to do about it? Are we ready to start valuing what comes from within more than what is on the surface? And if you could change the way the world sees you, what would you change first? Think about it, because the power of transformation is in your hands. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep learning how small actions can make a big difference. After all, real change begins when we decide to act.